What's going on, 5-9 Gaming crew? Lethal went up here, and guys, welcome back to another weekly wrap. You guys already know this is the series where we go ahead, look back at the week of gaming, and we talk about some of the news that kind of dropped. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, there wasn't anything like absolutely insane that I was like, man, I definitely want to talk about it. So I kind of figured, how about instead we kind of focus on just looking at some of the indies, because there's actually going to be a lot of indie love coming soon from the Xbox side, and actually PlayStation just dropped some indie love this week. And as someone who, I'm one of those people who I just don't put enough time into indie games, or I check out too many of them, there's a lot that are upcoming that I do want to focus on. And so again, I just want to highlight just a couple here. So actually, let's go ahead. Oh, and before we start, shout out to Nintendo, because Nintendo has been absolutely killing it by just giving so much love to Metroid this past week. And I have to say, a lot of people are not happy about that, kind of, because they also want to see more love for Zelda for their anniversary, but Metroid's anniversary is also this year too. So a big one. I think it's the 35th anniversary for Metroid, I believe. If I'm wrong, please correct me on that. But I believe it's the 35th. But they've just been giving the whole history of the 2D Metroid games. And so, you know, with the release of Dread coming soon, they're really like kind of hyping it up. So again, just kudos to them, because I feel like Metroid never gets too much. And so I kind of feel like Zelda does get a lot. So I don't know, just my little opinion out there. But shout out to Nintendo for just giving some Metroid love. But guys, let's go ahead and jump into our very first story. That is, there's going to be a second ID at Xbox and Twitch indie showcase slated for August 10th. Now, this comes from Jessica Ronald at the Xbox Wire. Basically, ID and Xbox and Twitch are partnering for a second Twitch gaming showcase, again August 10th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Now, during the showcase, it will feature tons of independent titles, including brand new game announcements from developers and publishers like Rebellion, Chump Squad, a bunch of others. And then they said that fans will also get a chance to see and hear the latest from teams working on The Artful Escape, Ollie World, Library of Arena, and RPG Time. They're also saying there's going to be Xbox Game Pass news and announcements and live demo showcases. There was a game that was shown off before called Euden Chronicles. It was basically, I think it's an HD 2D pixel RPG game that looked phenomenal, and I'm hoping that we get to see more on that game. If not, there was also a game that I want to play, another indie game. This one was called 12 Minutes, that had a bunch of big time actors in it, but the game just looked so good. It was kind of like a murder mystery but top-down view game that was all in the apartment. It looked so good. We talked about it before. Again, look up both these games if you're not too sure about them, but I'm really excited to see more information on them both. I do believe 12 Minutes actually releases this month on Game Pass, so we're going to see that one regardless really soon. But the other one, I do think it was slated for a 2022 release, so hopefully we get more news on that. Also, that was on the Xbox side, but PlayStation did their own thing too. Going into story number 2, this came from the official PlayStation Twitter account, but PlayStation had their Indie Spotlight Showcase where they talked about a bunch of upcoming games. They didn't do much of a blog for it, but they had a bunch of Twitter posts of each individual game. And so basically, I just kind of had the list of what's coming for PlayStation for a bunch of indies. Hades is coming finally, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, August 13th. Carrion is also coming to PlayStation later this year. Short Hike is coming to PlayStation this fall. So Cresta is releasing to PlayStation also this year. Witchwood is releasing this fall on PlayStation. And then Axiom Verge 2. I've never played that game. However, I will say I always hear a lot about Axiom Verge, and I believe I have to go check it out. But I believe it's a really good game, as they all are, to be honest. But I'm not gonna lie, I've heard a lot about Axiom Verge. Now, they have no release date, but they did mention saying that the game will be out before you know it. So maybe that means this year. I have no idea. And then Oxenfree 2, Lost Signals, just with the coming soon date. But yeah, again, play Hades. I've got to play some of Hades. It's such a good game. I had to go back and finish it though, but I did play some Hades. Carrion is actually available, unless they took it off, but it was available, I believe, on Xbox. You can go check it out there on Xbox Game Pass. Sorry. I heard a lot about a Short Hike. I remember seeing that before. Soul Cresta was apparently a game that was in development for, I think, over like 20-30 years. So that's a pretty big one dropping. Again, which one looks great. And Oxenfree 2, I saw the first one. They both look great. And again, I already talked about Axiom Verge. But guys, go check out those games. Again, those are just some of the indie games, but seriously, go check out indies and go support, because a lot of them don't get, too much showtime, and there's some really good ones out there. Jumping into story number 3. Ghost of Tsushima Legends will be available to purchase as a separate game, and more details now. This comes from Sucker Punch, their official Twitter account. They tweeted exactly this. New updates are coming to Ghost of Tsushima Legends, including an all-new Rivals mode, gear mastery, and an option to buy Legends on its own without the single-player campaign. Now, again, the Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut drops, August 20th, so that's this month, really soon. But keep in mind, the actual new Rivals mode releases on September 3rd. Now, basically in Rivals, I kind of break it down, and so hopefully I don't mess this up, but correct me if I'm wrong, or correct me if I missay anything. But in Rivals, 2 teams of 2 will compete to defeat waves of enemies. With each defeated foe, you'll collect Magatama that you can use to harm the other team. For example, you can spend Magatama on shades to block your opponent's purchases. You can also give them curses like health drain, exploding bodies, Hawacha fire, and more. Now, once you spend enough Magatama, you unlock final stand waves. You complete these before the opposing team to win. And then there's going to be, like I said, gear mastery system that's added. For players who've earned 110 level gear will now be able to bind it to a class and activate mastery challenges. All around, it just sounds like really great content. I played a little bit of Legends, but not enough to like really get deep into take advantage of like the gear mastery system. But from what I played, it was so much fun, and I was kind of, I'm not gonna say I'm surprised, but I just wasn't sure how because the single player was so good for Ghost of Tsushima that I was like, man, I don't know how well the multiplayer would do. But at the same time, I wasn't expecting anything crazy, but just a fun experience, and that's what it was. But to see Sucker Punch, I feel like just really try to hammer at Legends and make it like a, you know, like a bigger thing. That's so cool. You know, it actually brings me back to like Ubisoft for Assassin's Creed. I remember when Unity came out, and I don't know if you guys have played Unity, but I remember when that came out, I thought that was such a cool thing, but I don't think it did well, I think, in the end. And maybe it would have done better if it wasn't a standalone game, maybe. I don't know. Either way, I thought that was a really cool thing, and I wish they would have kind of gotten expanded upon. So I really hope people really do support Legends, or, you know, if you don't like it, you don't like it, but if you do like it, I hope you do try it out and give it a shot. But the fact that I see them going all in for it, it's really exciting, because I've always said, and I think a lot of people have said this for now, like, you know, for a while now, but, you know, PlayStation could use some more first-party multiplayer kind of games. So, you know, if a big mode like this gets big enough to the point where they can just make Legends its own thing, yo, I'm all down for that. Especially when Sucker Punch also has games like Infamous, they have Sly Cooper. I think Sly Cooper for sure, but I would love to see a standalone big multiplayer mode, I think, for Infamous. And I actually missed an Infamous game. I hope we see another one soon. I think right now they're going to be focusing on Ghost of Tsushima because that is their brand new IP, right? And they're getting a lot of success for it, so it kind of makes sense. But in the meantime, if they do want to go back, I would love to see, I think, a multiplayer mode for Infamous. I think it'd just be really, really cool. But enough of that. Jumping down into our very fourth story and final story here. We got more details on the PlayStation VR 2. This comes from Nebellion over on Twitter. Apparently, it's going to be codenamed Next Gen VR. Now, again, usually Nebellion is pretty on point with all his information. So I feel like the name portion of this, maybe take that with a grain of salt. We don't know what that's going to be called. But apparently, it's called Next Gen VR. That's why it just doesn't sound like a PlayStation thing, but I could totally be wrong. Who knows? But it's going to be called Next Gen VR. There's going to be HDR OLED displays with the resolution of 2000 by 2040 per eye, with a field of view focus of 110, which is supposed to be significantly better than the PlayStation VR. The controllers will be packaged with each headset that feature touch sensors, and apparently this is aiming for an early 2022 launch date. And I'm completely blown back by that, because I'm going to be keeping a buck with you. They just showed it off this year. But to be fair, they actually already showed off some of the equipment, right? We've seen the controllers already. So I think this thing was in development for a long time. And so it sounds a lot better. And I'm not the biggest VR tech guy to say like, oh man, resolution 2000 by 2040, OLED displays, right? Field of view of 110. I don't know how much significantly better that is from the PlayStation VR, because to be honest, I don't even think the PlayStation VR was even close to those kind of specs, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like 720p. I don't know. I'm not 100% on that, but I don't even think it was that good. So this sounds like it's light years better, at least to me. Now, for those of you that are big fans of VR, let me know how this stacks up to like Oculus, because I know Oculus is probably some of the best VR equipment in the game right now. So, and even other, what do you call it? companies that also do VR. Let me know what they're doing too, because there's more than just Oculus. Those are the first ones that come to my head. But let me know down below in the comment section, because I would love to hear more about it, because it sounds good. And I never bought the first VR because when I did used to play it, I'm not gonna lie, I used to get headaches, and so like it was really short play times. But to this last detail is what's making me for sure thinking about investing into the next gen VR from PlayStation. Sony is also interested in AAA hybrid games that can be played both with and without VR, similar to what you've seen with like Resident Evil 7, with Hitman, instead of just regular VR experiences. I'm going to say this. I'm down for that, and it sounds cool. I just don't want them to do a thing where like let's just say we get God of War 2, right? God of War Ragnarok, and you know it is going into a God of War 3. I don't want there to be a thing where they're like, man, they really want to help push the sales of their next gen VR, and then they drop like a God of War just only VR game that has like, you know, crucial story elements that should not be in a VR game, because I think VR is awesome. I just never felt really good with like long play times with VR. I don't know. Like I said, it gives me headaches, but maybe this new one will make it feel a lot better. But I just don't want to see anything like that coming to a next gen VR thing. So give me your thoughts, I guess, about that, because I don't want to go too deep into it, but give me your overall thoughts about that, because that's kind of how I feel about it. I don't want that to be a thing, but it depends. I don't know. It depends. If it doesn't hurt my eyes, right? It doesn't hurt. And that's another thing too. And that thing was huge, the last PlayStation VR. So like after a while, my head was like, bro, take this thing off. So I was like, yeah, nah. I was good for like, I think an hour, not even, maybe like 45, 30 minutes. I was like, all right, I'm good. I'll take a break. But I don't know. Give me your thoughts about that. I don't want to go too deep into it, but give me your thoughts on that. I do think it's something like what we've seen for Abandon, right? That big blue box game that we just don't know what exactly it's going to be. Something like Abandon would probably be a cool VR game, because you know it's like a brand new game, right? But it's supposed to be like suspenseful survival, and I think VR, I feel like Resident Evil 7 was a great way to kind of use VR, because I guess it works well. But now I think about it, I think people complain because they're tired of like moving their head back and forth. So I don't know. Regardless, I think VR is a cool thing, so I'm excited to see how good this does. But I'm interested even more so about the hybrid games. But again, give me your thoughts about that. That's honestly all I have here for the weekly wrap this week. If you guys haven't already, make sure you are subscribed to the 5-9 Gaming channel. Also, go ahead and subscribe to our Twitch account on our social platforms, especially Twitter, so you guys can stay up to date with all the news that we have on videos and anything else we're doing with the company. So guys, thank you for watching. Again, I'm Lethal1Up, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.